Hello, everyone. Welcome to the DMV Business Show. I'm your host, Otto Sevilla, and today I have a very special guest for you. We have Craig Oldham. Craig is the managing partner and CEO marketing advisor of Mahdlo Executive Advisors. Welcome to the show, Craig.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate being here.
Of course, the pleasure is all mine. Before we go into your personal story, if you can give the audience, just in case they haven't heard of Mahdlo, who are they? What do they do? What do you folks do, please?
Yeah, so we're a management consulting firm focused on providing fractional marketing and chief revenue officers to small to mid-sized companies to help them really grow their revenue trajectory. We're located obviously here in the DMV, but also have advisors throughout the country.
I love that. I'm a huge believer and proponent of marketing, just because I believe that's probably the number one thing to drive top of the line revenue and sales.
Yeah, we find that same thing. Like even when the one unique thing that we do is combine revenue, sales and marketing together, so that they both work together to kind of help drive and grow the business.
I agree, and I think that's needed. A lot of times you see that sales and marketing, they don't talk much to each other, or there's some friction sometimes, right?
Yeah, absolutely, that 100%. I'm glad you said you like it, because then we would have gotten off on a bad foot.
Yeah, I know, right? Are you originally from this area, Craig?
No, so I was born in California, moved around a bunch of different places, but around 12 years ago or so, we moved here from Chicago.
Okay.
Virginia.
Where would you say, if someone asked you, like, where did you grow up, or where did you spend most of your time before you moved here 12 years ago?
Oh, man. So I went to school at Indiana University. So we're super excited about the basketball season coming up. And our local homegrown talent, Xavier Johnson, is our starting point guard. But I'm just probably a little too deep for your podcast. But yeah, so school in the Midwest, and then spent 15 years in Chicago before coming here. So I would tell you the Midwest is kind of my adopted home.
Mm-hmm. What was most of your childhood in California and the West Coast? Or I know you said you were jumping around different places before you landed in the Midwest.
Man, we could go on a whole hour for that. But yeah, I was born in California, moved out to Virginia, first time in Virginia.
Okay.
Yep, down in the Franklin area in Southern Virginia. And then we moved to Utah for a couple of years, and then to Florida, Pensacola, where I went to high school.
Okay. So I guess all this jumping around, how was it growing up for you, since you were in different places, as far as, I don't know, friendships, or what were you into, any activities or sports?
Yeah, it was definitely, moving around a lot is, I appreciate it more now than I did when I was younger, for sure. But, the idea of talking to different types of people and moving to different places doesn't really faze me that much. So it's not too hard to fathom, moving halfway across the country for weather, makes it a lot easier.
You said you went to Indiana University. What'd you major in there?
It was telecom. So I wanted to go in and do radio until I went into it and figured there was no money in that, and very hard to become a top-notch radio personality. So as I kind of went down that path, was the station manager at the college radio station, and then from there, really, that's where I discovered and started doing marketing in college. I started doing promotional marketing for the college radio station, and rest is history. That's where I kind of got the bug.
Oh, nice. What brought you 12 years ago to this area here?
So I took a job at the American Red Cross. I was their VP of digital engagement. So I did their website and helped with fundraising on the individual donor side. Yeah, it was great. I did that for, I think it was about 4 years. I always say about that with nonprofits, it's a lot of work. And, it's kind of like you do it for 4 years. Every year feels like 10 sometimes. It's a lot of work. Yeah.
So,
but all for good cause.
Yeah. Starting from college, you said that's where you sort of got involved in the world of marketing, and you haven't left it since, I assume?
No, pretty much. Yeah, fits and starts here and there, but yeah, for the most part, I started my career out of college working in a telecom company called Ameritech, which eventually got bought by AT&T, and worked there for about 8 to 9 years, and then did a 10-year stint in insurance at Allstate and Zurich Insurance, and from there ended up at the American Red Cross. And my last gig was up in Baltimore, actually, was a CMO for a manufacturing and distribution company up in Towson.
I love that. Greg, I'm just curious, what is it that you love so much about marketing?
It's the fun thing about it is really getting in helping organizations see their potential and tell their story. And really, there's no other function in a company where you get to kind of craft that story on how you want to go to market, how you want to position yourself, and ultimately, it's so important to be able to do that to be able to grow. Mm-hmm. So that's what I love the most. Now, economically, probably should have gone into sales, but I think salespeople make more money than marketers for sure.
That's true. It depends on the role too. For the longest time in my career, I was just focused on sales, and I came in through it mostly in college as well. That's where I first got originally exposed to it with a global investment bank, and it was sales. But it wasn't until much later on in my career that I was like, you know what, this marketing thing should be on top of it, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And of course, sales revenue is important. That's number one. That's number one on the balance sheet. But marketing, you don't see Nike, for example, or Dunkin' Donuts cold calling and customers, consumers to come in and buy the coffee or buy the latest new Nikes or Reeboks or whatever it is. It's marketing. It's all marketing.
Yep. That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. That's honestly what was so intriguing for me, even starting doing it at the radio station, to the point where I would tell you, working in insurance is like marketing boot camp. If you can market car insurance, you can pretty much market anything.
What would you say you're most proud of thus far in your career?
Oh, probably what I'm doing now. Honestly, it's really fun to get to work with a bunch of different clients, and it's much more hands-on. So, when you work at a big company, you only get to see certain slices of the process. And my last gig, I was the chief marketing officer, so that really didn't entail much of marketing other than going from meeting to meeting and explaining why we're not hitting our numbers. But now you really get to focus. We get to do marketing and do it with some really passionate founders and CEOs of companies. So that to me is like the biggest part. I think I'm making the most impact in my career right now.
How was Mahdlo even started? Where did the idea come about, or were you always thinking about it throughout your career, as far as maybe one day? No.
I always say my biography is going to be the reluctant entrepreneur, because I never actually thought I would fall into the spot. So when I left my last gig up in Baltimore, a lot relieved by it, because I didn't have to drive back, and you can imagine, I'm in Alexandria, so I was going to Baltimore every day, northern Baltimore. That's definitely so. So just like wiped out, right? And then was like, okay, let me look for my next gig. And so a colleague of mine said, why don't you just do some consulting on the side? It'll buy you some time, right? So, excuse me. So did that, started doing consulting, and I was like, wow, this is pretty good. And I was able to, get a couple clients here and, start to pay the bills. And then I did a year-long engagement with a consulting firm. And it's like, okay, this maybe, there is kind of a business for this. At the time when I started, there really was no word for fractional CMO, right? That's kind of a new term that's happened over the last 5 or 6 years. And did that engagement, and then broke away, decided I can do it on my own. And started building the firm up, and partnered with a couple of folks. About a year ago, partnered with my other managing partner, Eric Seller, who's in LA. And we decided to merge the marketing practice with what he was doing in sales. And so we put the two firms together and decided to, make it a marketing and sales practice. And now we've got 12 advisors. Half of them are CROs and half of them are CMOs. And it's kind of how we got started. I would say it was much more organic than it was probably planned.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. If I can just take you back for that moment when you started,
Yeah.
You were just saying, let me just do this sort of where it goes, maybe part-time or whatever it may be. How was it getting that first couple of clients?
Yeah. A lot of times, so they were friendlies, people that I had known just based on my reputation. So from that standpoint, it was good. But, when you first start out, you don't know what the hell you're doing. So, part of it is you have all these ideas, but you have to build a business out of it, right? Versus just going in and saying, look, I'm going to do some consulting for you. And people are like, what does that mean? And like, I don't know. So you have to build a series of practices around what you do and the knowledge that you have around your craft, right? Whether you're doing marketing or sales, you've got to kind of know and build in these different set ways of going about taking all that experience and culminating into a process. So that was really the hardest part. But once you kind of get past that scary point, and we always talk about this as kind of consultants, doing this on our own, it's that false sense of a W-2. So you think that because you've got that W-2 that there's some sense of security, but it's really no more secure than what you're doing now. You just have to plan a little differently for it. So yeah, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of leaps of faith, and a lot of do I really know what I'm doing here in the beginning? So I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs, and I know that for a fact, and having worked with them now, a lot of us feel that same way.
Yeah, that's true.
But you can't let it stop you from making the leap.
From a marketing side, I guess it depends. I'm just thinking of, your end client. You said it's typically small, medium-sized business. Is there a specific industry that you like to focus on?
No, it's one of the beauties of our firm is we've got advisors across all different industries, all across all different sizes. So as you heard, my experience is a lot of telecom, insurance, nonprofit. I've worked across fintech companies all the way to CBD. So, we really run the gamut. We've got advisors that are really good in the IoT space, in media, in SaaS companies, in automotive. So we've got, kind of runs the gamut. What we want to do is get to the point where, we have advisors in every industry to help anybody grow that needs to.
When you come in, Craig, do you first, as far as, I'm thinking of suggestions you can give. If someone's right now listening or watching this and they have their own business and they're like, what can it do from a marketing standpoint to sort of get the word known out there more that here I am, this is my business, this is what I sell, my product or service?
Yeah, the biggest thing, and we do this with all of our clients, sit down and do a value proposition. Spend your time, like find out why am I really in this business? And number one, it can't be about money. So it can't be, I'm doing this to make more money. That's off the table. You also don't want to build an advertising slogan. We really want to know, okay, what is the thing that you're going after? Secondly, figure out who is going to buy it, right? And who your target market is. And then thirdly, figure out what you're going to say to them and make sure it's crisp and clear. And those three steps sound very simple, but super hard to execute on, because a lot of times as an entrepreneur, you kind of go through these permutations. You're like, okay, so if I don't explain everything about my business, then I'm leaving something out, or maybe I'm leaving something on the table. But just be very crisp and clean about what you do, and focus on the person that you're trying, or your target that you're trying to sell it to.
I love that. That's great. All great advice. You founded Mahdlo how many years ago?
Oh, it was 7 years ago.
Okay.
I'm trying to do it in my head. Yeah, about 7 years ago.
7 years ago. So during this time, I'm sure, just like many businesses, there's good times, not so good times. Yeah. Especially, I know we were with COVID a couple of years back, and a lot of businesses did suffer. Was there anything any big setback you can think of in your business that set you back? And if so, what did you learn from that?
Yeah, it's a really good point because I mean I think in the pandemic, prior to the pandemic, all of our clients that we had were all local, right? Local to the advisor. What happened during the pandemic was actually really good for our type of business in that everybody went virtual. So we went from having all local clients to having virtually no local clients, and everybody spread out, which was kind of interesting. The biggest downturn that we typically see in our business is economic downturns, like we're kind of hopefully coming out of now, or people are adjusting to, whatever you're reading these days. But that's kind of the toughest times for us. But like we say with anybody, there's always winners and losers in every economic environment. So you just have to figure out where you are, retool your messaging. We go back and do the same thing that we tell our clients to do, is like, okay, what are we going to say? How do we build this based on the environment that's there now? How do we grow through this? Right. So that's a lot of what we try to do. But yeah, pandemic was good for us.
Yeah.
Not good for everybody necessarily, but it really kind of expanded our addressable market. And we just got to make sure we avoid the economic downturns. That's for sure. I know we all want to.
That's interesting, Craig, how you went from, pre-pandemic local to now post-pandemic, more larger local,
Yep.
larger area. What, from a marketing standpoint for you and your business, what would you say was the leading factor that drove that traffic or that change in the business?
Really, it was it was a lot of what we're seeing. The growth now is around expanding our capabilities. So it's really listening to your clients, and part of the thing that or your customers, whoever that may be. But a lot of the reason that we put sales and marketing together in our joint practice is around what we were experiencing with our clients, which is, hey, we need somebody to pick up the leads and take the marketing piece and sell it. Or we have the salespeople, but we need marketing. So you've got to listen to your clients, and that's what we heard. That's been our biggest opportunity now, because combining those two things together really brings a huge amount of economic value at really a fraction of the price to our clients.
Mm-hmm. So bringing in sales in-house and doing that merger you just did about a year ago was a big game changer for you in the business?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Wow, that's great to hear. Putting marketing aside for a moment, if an entrepreneur came to you and said, hey, I want to start up my own business, any pointers or advice they should look out for?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the biggest thing is make sure you got a good value proposition. Make sure you understand the economics. And like we tell every advisor that comes in and joins us, just make sure you've got, give yourself a cushion, no matter how long a span that is, to make sure that you can, pay your bills and that you don't go bankrupt trying to make the business work. So I would tell you that's the biggest piece of that. But a lot of that's planning and making sure you're down the right path. The other thing is don't quit and give up. Like when things go bad, just you've got to retool and reposition yourself, rethink how you're going to market.
I like that. As far as that cushion, any specific time frame or runway you recommend to have in savings?
I mean, everybody's got their own, I think that's a very personal type of thing. We tell our typical advisors, like when they come in, you should at least have, 4 to 5 months
Mm-hmm.
of money to be able to pay the bills. And I think that's pretty standard in most. I mean, probably should have that anyway, even if you're working for somebody at a W-2. So,
I agree.
Yeah, you definitely want to have a little bit of that cushion. It takes the pressure off,
Are there any specific habits or traits you feel you have that have helped you, whether for business or just personal side of things?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I mean, probably a good question to ask somebody else that knows me, but I would say first is it's really persistence and making sure that you really stick with it. If you know something's going to work, don't worry if you have a bad week or a bad day, or just keep the persistence is key to that, right? And as most entrepreneurs do, if you're passionate about it, you're going to be thinking about this all the time. So continue to think about it. You got to reinvent yourself over and over again. Don't be afraid to do it. If something's not working, quickly pivot to where you need to.
Yeah. Do you sometimes go as far as, counsel and go outside to a partner or to a colleague or someone else when you do feel you're in that moment and things aren't going so well for you? What do you
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, I'm luckily I'm surrounded by 11 other, chief marketing and sales officers. So I've got a lot of advice, sometimes more than maybe what you want, but absolutely. And I also, am a member of a couple of local groups as well that I lean on them for advice as well. So, and mentors throughout my career. So absolutely, you've got to lean on other folks. Being an entrepreneur can be very isolating at times. And so you've definitely got to push yourself out and connect.
It's true. What would you say is your biggest challenge with your role today at Mahdlo?
I would, there's a lot, I think there's a lot of work. And so you can't be afraid of that as an entrepreneur. There really is no days off. So, you will find yourself working on the weekends and, working in the evening to try to get everything done that you need to get done, for sure. That's probably the biggest challenge.
So I guess trying to take some time and
it's balance.
plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times it is.
Do you have a family yourself?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Wife and a son. My son is 15. It's hard for me to actually say that number, but yeah, he's 15 in high school. Just started high school this year, so he's well on his way.
Okay, that's good. College is coming up soon.
Oh man, don't tell me about it. That's a whole nother stressor to figure out how to get another client to pay for college.
Is he already looking into that?
No, well, we'll probably do it next year. I mean, I think around your sophomore year, at least.
Yeah.
He's our first one going through that. So yeah, we'll probably around sophomore year, we'll start thinking about college. He plays basketball as well, so it may have something to do with his choice if he had anything to do with it.
That's good. Hopefully, there'll be some scholarship or some help there.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, I have 3 boys. My oldest is 12, and I
Okay.
talked to my wife, and I'm like, he's only 12, and I feel he's almost he is a preteen, but the way he's acting and behaving, so I can only imagine with a 15-year-old.
Yeah, it just gets amplified a little bit. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're right on the cusp there when everything's changing.
Yeah, definitely. What do you know now, Craig, that you wish you would have known at the start of your business career?
Oh wow. The biggest thing was like I said to you before, like when I first got into this, it really was more of a fell into it type of a thing. If I had to do it all over again, the planning process would have been much different, right? So if I would have known where I'm going to be, where I am now back then, really would have been planning this and thinking through it at that beginning and not just learning as you kind of go along. So yeah, that's the biggest piece of that.
What planning would you have done differently? Instead of, it sounds like you almost not that you winged it, but it was like, oh, this just happened.
Yeah, no, I think there definitely could have been like more of a business plan. I think what I would have done is started this model where we're doing sales and marketing together a lot sooner than where I am today with the business. So that for sure could have accelerated our growth a lot faster than what we're already doing. But yeah, that's definitely the case. Like when you think you're just going to do it on the side and it's you're kind of like, well, I can wing it a little bit. Let's see what happens. Maybe some magic will happen somewhere along the line. But there is no magic that happens other than you sit down and do the planning and then the magic comes from that. So I would tell you that we definitely would have done that differently.
Yeah, that's good to know. When you hear the word success, what comes to your mind immediately at first? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, I think success is a matter of satisfaction. So it's success is all relative in what you want to do personally in your life and your career. So I mean, success has changed throughout my life and career, right? So success at one point used to be if I can only get the title of chief marketing officer, to now it is, let me see how many companies that we can help grow and help their dreams come true. And that is a satisfaction piece of that now, right? When we have a really good client that they see a lot of success. I mean, that's satisfying at a lot of levels. And then, personally, just seeing the business go, that's also nice as well, to see, your hard work that you put in. That's satisfaction for sure.
What does Mahdlo do as far as, to get the word out and drive traffic to the business?
Yeah, we do a lot of so a lot of it's word of mouth and referrals, and it's the networks that all of our advisors have. But we do all the traditional things that we have our clients do. So we do a lot of content marketing. So we usually do 2 or 3 blogs a day, and hopefully that's helping people. And we've got ebooks on building a go-to-market strategy and how to enter the U.S. market if you're an international company. So we really try to do a lot of content marketing, thought leadership, promote that out there, just kind of give back to the community, as needed. And hopefully we're helping somebody, along the way there. And if they need some additional help, we're always here to have that conversation. Advertising, digital advertising, LinkedIn. We're doing all of those at varying levels. So yeah, same things.
With the blog post, those 2 or 3 you said per day, and that's on your website?
2 to 3 a week, typically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find them on Mahdlo.net.
Okay. When you said per day, I'm like, wow, you guys are really cranking out content.
No, I think they would all kill me if I was hounding them for 2 blog posts a day. Yeah, but we try to do 2 to 3 a week. It really depends on how the topics that are out there, what we're running into, what we're reading, what we're finding. So wherever it hits you. But yeah, we typically get about 2 to 3 a week.
Okay, that's great. No, I'm a firm believer of content, and that's how I sort of transitioned my business more from a marketing standpoint a couple of years back, is just provide as much as information. I mean, that's one of the reasons I did this show was during COVID. That's how it started. That's the story with this show. Just as far as just providing content to the local business community here.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah, we were doing a podcast for a little while. It's a lot of work, so I praise you for that. It's definitely a lot of work.
Yeah, it takes time for sure.
Yes, no doubt.
Do you have, throughout your career, you've had a rich career in the marketing field, starting off, as you said, in radio station to becoming CMO. Any big mentors you've had that stand out? And if so, what did you learn from them?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had so many along the way. I was thinking about this the other day, just how lucky I am to have the folks that I've had. A couple that I've had that are really good. They've never really been around the functional component of marketing as much as it is teaching you how to be a good leader and teaching you how to be a good mentor to others. And that's really a lot around many of them. So it's, how do you lead a team? How do you create a championship team? How do you put all the pieces together to build either a sales, marketing, or any type of a team that will help you excel? And, it's not always finding the people that have, the best educations, or finding people that have the best skills. Many times it is finding the people that just fit together. And a lot of it is, give or take sports analogies, it's a lot like putting a sports team together in a lot of ways. It's really personalities and how they work together, much more than it is sometimes what you know. And I learned a lot about that at the Red Cross, and had a great mentor there, where it's, you walk into a nonprofit and many times it's not the experience that you would have for the same responsibilities, right? So because nonprofits just don't pay. So a lot of times it's pulling together people and teams that you wouldn't necessarily think would have the skills, but man, if you have the will to work as hard as you can and to read and to absorb, it goes so much further than saying, hey, I've got a piece of paper that says I know how to do this. So I would tell you that's the biggest thing that I've learned from all of them.
Speaking about team now, Craig, I know you said you have over a dozen advisors there at Mahdlo.
Yeah.
How do you go about finding the right team members and putting them in the right place with the right seat in the bus?
Yeah, so I would tell you I talked to probably two or three executives or former executives that are looking to get into the space. We're very selective in the way that we pick people, in that exactly what I was telling you around the piece of that. We want to make sure we have the right people and the right personalities, and that we all work together well. So we really screen people not only just on kind of what they know and their practices, but how we think they're all going to fit together as a team. So, we don't add folks just to add folks. It's really about creating this this camaraderie, this teamwork, really. And the reason we do that is, number one, it's nice to work with people you like. Number one. And number two, it allows for us to work together as teams more, as we kind of matrix out and maybe work with a client and say, hey, I'm going to pull you into this one or this one. And, once you have that working relationship, there's really nothing you can't tackle.
Having your team located in different places throughout the country, how do you go about building and forming that bond with them?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just having informal conversations, right? So it's a lot of it is, hey, let me shoot you a text. Not everything's through email. Let me just video call you real quick. I think a part of it is, how do you create the magic of the water cooler conversations? That's really the hardest piece of this. So we try really hard to have like just the informal conversations, not just through email, but maybe we're doing it through Teams, or we're jumping on a call together just for 5 minutes, or somebody's texting you really quickly. So I think a lot of that informal piece is, you can never replicate face to face, but a lot of it helps just by having that informal.
Sure. No, that's true. Coming to an end here soon, what are you most excited about the future? What does the next couple of years look like for you and Mahdlo?
Oh man, we want to grow to around 20 advisors or so.
Okay.
So we're thinking is kind of the magic number for us. But we obviously have a revenue number that we would love to hit. I think for us, being thought of as a thought leader in this space would be a huge accomplishment. If we could even be mentioned in the words of great firms like McKinsey or Accenture, or those types of firms that really are thought and established as being thought leaders, then we would have we would have reached our goals in the next couple of years. So hopefully we'll get there.
I love that goal. That's a big one.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Like our clients, we try to make the same goals that we have for clients. Like, go after that big one. Let's see what you got. Yeah. And then you never know what's going to happen.
I agree. Well, when you're not busy running the firm, what do you like to do for fun in your free time?
Oh man, well, listen, I'm getting a lot of my free time back. Having teenagers, and especially teenage boy, it's like they're all over the place. So between going to AAU basketball games and the weekends are finally clearing up, I get to do more stuff that I like to do. So yeah, I definitely love to golf. I'm a big music fan too. So, excited that concerts are back and we're, out having a good time. But yeah, like to do a little bit of that. Somebody dragged me to pickleball the other day. So that was kind of fun, actually. So we'll see. That might be a new thing to pick up.
I did pickleball, I think a year ago or two. I took some classes, like beginner 1 and 2. And I fell in love with it. I was like, wow.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's fun. There were people there just their experience with tennis, and I didn't have any tennis experience. So here I was, and they were just it was bad. I was bad on the court, but it was so much fun. I need to pick it back. I need to pick it back up again. But I loved it though.
Oh, it's a fun sport. Well, a mutual acquaintance of ours, he brought me to a pickleball piece, and then I was trying to hit it like a tennis ball. He's like, no, it's not how hard you hit it.
Yeah.
I was like, dang. So yeah, it's definitely some nuances you have to get to, but I love it. It's a blast, and it's a great social activity too.
It is. I was talking to a friend and a client, and they were like, hey, let's go golfing and this and that. I'm like, yeah, it's fine, but I like the more active. Like with pickleball, I feel like, okay, it was great for the half an hour, whatever I did it. with golf, I don't know if you have that same
Yeah.
experience afterwards.
Yeah. Golf
Very
is just
different.
long. Yeah, it's just definitely longer. Yeah. So you gotta carve out 4 or 5 hours for it.
Yeah, much different. Craig,
Yeah.
is there anything I should have asked that I didn't ask?
No, I think you covered. I mean, we covered where I'm from, where I'm born. We didn't cover eye color and stuff, but that may be for next time.
No, just sometimes people like to highlight something, maybe something that's coming out or a project. That's why I always ask at the end.
Yeah, no, we highlight a lot. I mean, I would certainly, if anybody's interested, they can certainly go to the website, check out our ebooks and blogs. We've got a book on there that I wrote as well around shifting your demand curve. So we've got a lot of really great content. If anybody's interested, just check it out at mahdlo.net.
Okay, perfect. And that's Mahdlo, Mahdlo.net, right?
That's right. Last name backwards.
Yes, perfect. I see why you named it that way. I wasn't sure.
Exactly.
You wanted the name, but in a different way, I guess, right?
That's right. That shows you we're not a creative firm, so it was not like it was a creative type of a thing. But yeah,
That's great. If someone wants to reach out with you directly, what's the best way?
yeah, they can definitely go to the website. And excuse me, they'll find my bio there, or they can shoot me an email. It's Craig@mahdlo.net.
Beautiful. Craig, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your story.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Take care.